Welcome to day 3 of our daily Bible devotions. As we have mentioned yesterday, today we're going to continue our reflections on epistemology. Specifically, we will check on the 3 tests for worldviews. And we have touched on this previously. Let's go back again to the 3 tests for worldview: logical consistency, empirical adequacy, and experiential relevance. Logical consistency. Of course, we have to ask ourselves whether the worldview that we have is rational. Whenever we think of logic and rationality, sometimes we think whether faith actually checks out in terms of logical consistency. I mean, if we have faith, that means we have to believe in the supernatural. That means we have to believe in miracles. And can it stay rational and logical? I mean, miracles are not logical, right? Is it rational and logical to believe in miracles? What are miracles? Miracles are defined by some philosophers as this: miracles are violations of the laws of nature. Because the law of nature is fixed, that's why it's law, it's scientific law, not theory. Because the laws of nature is fixed, a miracle is a reported violation in the law of nature. It breaks the law of nature. And since it's a law, it cannot be broken, so therefore, miracles cannot be true. And therefore, any belief in any belief in miracles is not logical and is not rational. Is that really the case? Consider this. This is from C.S. Lewis. He said, "If this week I put 1,000 pounds in the drawer of my desk, add 2,000 next week, and another 1,000 the week thereafter, the laws of arithmetic allows me to predict that the next time I come to my drawer, I shall find 4,000 pounds. That's logical, right? After all, he's talking about the laws of arithmetic. Okay, but suppose when I next open the drawer, instead of finding 4,000 pounds, I find only 1,000 pounds. What shall I conclude? That the laws of arithmetic have been broken? Is that what you'll think? Oh no, arithmetic is wrong. 1,000 plus 2,000 plus 1,000 is not really 4,000 after all. It's just 1,000 because the next day I opened it and there's only 1,000, not 4,000. The laws of arithmetic have been broken? Really? Or maybe you can conclude, certainly, that's not the case. What you can conclude is, C.S. Lewis said, I might more reasonably conclude that some thief has broken the laws of the state and stolen 3,000 pounds out of my drawer. Furthermore, it would be ludicrous to claim that the laws of arithmetic made it impossible to believe in the existence of such a thief or the possibility of his intervention. On the contrary, it is the normal workings of those laws that have exposed the existence and activity of the thief. What do we have here? What we have here is an analogy to miracles. The theft is actually the miracles. Just because you put 4,000 pounds in the drawer and expecting that by the laws of arithmetic you will find 5,000 pounds in the next day, it doesn't always mean that that will actually happen, especially if there's the reality of thief present around you. Of course, you may not know the presence of that thief because, thieves do not normally announce themselves to be there. You're not aware of that, but when the thief does his work, then you are compelled rationally and logically to believe that there must be a thief because 4,000 pounds cannot just turn into 1,000 pounds without any other cause. Will you just say, no, maybe it's just my imagination. Okay, you can do that. You can doubt your activities prior. But if you have evidence that what you actually did the previous days, your memories are intact and you're actually correct, then there must be a thief. Just because the thief violated the laws of the state does not mean that the thief cannot do that. Sometimes that's our mistake. We put laws and guidelines and rules, and then sometimes we become comfortable with those laws and rules, thinking that, of course, this person will not violate the laws because They are laws. After all, there will be consequences. But criminals take advantage of that because we think they will not do something because it's against the law. They take advantage of our comfort and our assurance that they will not do that by actually doing it, and we are caught off guard. Now, in this analogy, since God created everything, He even created the laws of nature. That's according to the Christian worldview. That's according to the theistic worldview. If God created everything, He can also get in, and He has the ability to intervene, to interfere, or to violate that law. Of course, in our minds, it's a violation, but for Him, it's just normal. He put the laws there, He put the principles there, but that doesn't mean that He cannot bypass that. In the same way, if you're a programmer, you created a program, but that doesn't mean that you cannot bypass that. That doesn't mean that you don't have a backdoor to access that even though you have put safeguards. If you're the creator, you know your way around it. That must be true with God as well. If we believe in God, if we will abide by the theistic worldview, not necessarily Christian, but theistic worldview, if God is so powerful to create everything, then He is also so powerful to work His way around those principles and laws and safeguards that He has created. Right? So instead of just saying that believing in miracles because they violated the laws of nature or they broke the laws of nature, that it's not logical and rational to believe in them. In fact, the very reports that those laws were broken actually points us to the existence and the activity of the thief, or an analogy to God. That means God exists. Now, there's that question. Now, whether those reports are real. So, first, logical consistency. Second, empirical adequacy. Is there a way to verify these facts empirically? Is there a way? For example, let's go back to the story of the turning of the water into wine. Well, you may not be able to explain it, but if the water turned into wine, all you have to do is to taste it. And according to records, the wine taster tasted it and it was indeed turned into wine. So, he verified it. It checked out. That's wine. Jesus walked on water, according to records, and the disciples were on the boat. They initially thought that what they're seeing is a ghost because there's no way in their minds, there's no way a person can walk on water. But they have tested and proven that it was really Jesus and He was walking on water. And how did Jesus convince the disciples that that's really Him, that He's true? He asked Peter to step out of the boat into the water. And initially, Peter was able to do it. Peter checked the experience empirically. He verified that yes, by the power of God, by the power of Jesus, he can walk on water. Well, for a while, not until a doubt took over his faith. But he was able to do it. Jesus could have just comfortably said, if it was a trick, if it was an illusion, Jesus could have said, no, Peter, don't step out. Only I can do it. But what did he do? He wanted his disciples to test it out. That's if you read the Bible, that's how Jesus is. That's how God is. He always invites us to see His point of view, His worldview. He always invites us to go beyond what we already understand. Our narrow point of view, He widens that. He deepens that. He invited the disciples, and only Peter actually was brave enough to step out of the boat. He invited them actually to go and test it out, that it can be done. What else? Consider this. If Jesus were not going to give us empirical adequacy in His claims, you know what He could have said? What He would have said about the resurrection? He would have said, I'm gonna rise again spiritually. He could have said that. Or, this is my favorite because this is how it usually appears in movies and literature. I will never die. I will live through your actions. I will live in your hearts. I will be immortal. I will die, yes, but I will live forever in your hearts. I will be immortal. Is that what Jesus said? No, actually, if you read the Bible, he gave such empirically demonstrable claim by saying that I will rise again. And when he said I will rise again several times in the scripture, it suggests bodily rise. Was it checked out? Yes, because the tomb was empty afterwards. He could have shown himself and then the tomb was still closed. What will people think? Oh, maybe his body was really there. We're just seeing a double, a duplicate, or maybe it's just an illusion. But he left the tomb open and empty, and then he appeared to several people. We already read the testimonies of Peter and Paul talking about the miracles that they've seen Jesus do. And all these were empirically verifiable, observable by the five senses. Logical consistency, empirical adequacy, experiential relevance. How does it really meet us where we are in our daily lives? For example, if I will believe in evolution, if that is my worldview, humans actually evolved from primates. Will I consider humans as special or different from animals? Maybe because we have evolved, but I mean, we're just animals. I can value animals more than my neighbor if I think my dog or my cat is more special to me. If I think that my dog or my cat is smarter than my neighbor, then probably I can just let my neighbor die and just treasure my pet. But that's not how we view things. Plus, if we just evolve, that means there's not much significance in our life. Or if we evolved and everything was just a result of random chance, survival of the fittest, then everything is random. If everything is random, how do I explain the design in the world? Or how do I explain love? Because love is intentional. Is it just an accident? Is it just instinct? Is it just biology? You will approach someone you love and you will tell them that I want you to be my mate for life. you don't express love that way. That I want you to be. We're not animals. I mean, we see, if we are going to be honest and we are going to be consistent, if we will stick by evolution, if we will stick by the view that there is no God, then that's how we should define things. We cannot explain love. We cannot explain trust. We cannot explain self-sacrifice. Why would we sacrifice ourselves for others? Survival of the fittest, right? Survival instincts. We have to survive. Why would you sacrifice for someone else? What reason would you be? Or why would you do the right thing if it's inconvenient for you? Survival instincts, right? What if you will believe in evolution? What made humans to be where they are right now is because they kept on following the survival instincts. Survival of the fittest. Is it beneficial for you? Is it logical for you to believe in evolution and at the same time make sacrifices for another person? There will be no grounds for you to make sacrifices for another person if your belief is just random chance and evolution. You cannot. On the other hand, if you follow the belief that there is a God, if you follow the Christian belief, you have answers to this question. What will be your moral choices? What will be your decision? Will you choose to do right or do what is wrong? How will you handle temptation? No. Men who are unfaithful to their wives can just say, I'm just a man. I'm just like any male dog or male animal out there. I can't resist temptation because I'm a man. That's the usual explanation. But if you follow the theistic worldview, the Christian worldview, you have your means out of temptation because Jesus, God, offered help in times of temptation. How do you deal with your finances? Will you just spend everything today, splurge, and then have nothing in the future? Anyway, there is no future. There is no heaven or hell. You can just steal You can just do whatever you want, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you will die. What's the point of living if you can't feel alive? What's the point of living if you cannot enjoy it? That will be your life. You see, having faith in God, having faith in Jesus, that specific worldview, the Christian worldview, it's logically consistent, it's empirically adequate, and experiential relevance. If that is not the worldview you are embracing, check your own worldview using these three. Or if you think you are really following Christ, maybe your faith is not deep enough. Why don't you check your own faith? Does it really pass the test of worldview? Check your own beliefs. Does it really pass? Is it worthy to have that worldview, to see the world using that belief or faith that you have? You have to examine, because the invitation of God to us is that we reason with Him.